The cancel culture can be compared with the witch hunts carried out in the 15 and 1600s, where people would attempt to drown a person, and if they didn't drown, they were deemed a witch and burnt on the stake.
Iskall85 is a Swedish Minecraft YouTuber who has been a part of the Hermitcraft server for the better part of 9 years. Whilst yes, a Minecraft YouTuber being in drama is like seeing a kid at James Charles' house, this one in particular was unexpected, because the Hermitcraft server is generally drama-free aside from maybe a cuss word or two. Our story begins on November 24th, 2024, when the Hermitcraft Twitter account posted an automated message saying that after recent allegations, Iskall had chosen to step down from the group, along with Stress Monster, though her leave was supposedly for completely different reasons. The Hermits shared no context, no briefing of what the allegations were, and didn't name any victims. Overall, it was a pretty harmless announcement post. The only thing that was shared by any Hermit, in fact, was Mumbo Jumbo coming out and saying there were no minors involved, which is always a good thing to know when it comes to Minecraft YouTubers. A day later, however, multiple of Iskall's alleged victims would come forward publicly of their own choice, publicly exposing the fact that Iskall had been sexually conversating with multiple of his adult fans online, whilst also being in a full-time committed relationship in real life, sometimes allegedly using his position over these people, whether that be as boss because they were his Discord moderators, or idol because they were his fans, to get explicit imagery. Now, none of this is actually criminal, as they were all overage. It's more of just immoral behaviour that doesn't clearly align with the Hermitcraft brand, and some of it's pretty scumbaggy and manipulative as well. Iskall did not immediately address any of these claims and went dark on all socials. Iskall85 also currently worked on a mod project for Minecraft called Vault Hunters that employs many developers. After the allegations, however, and almost 2 months of no direct communication with Iskall, the developers of the project decided to send Iskall an open letter that would, if Iskall agreed and signed, give the developers permission to continue working on the project without Iskall's involvement. Because right now, due to copyright, nothing could be worked on directly without Iskall's permission, and Iskall wasn't responding to anybody. Basically a letter to take over the mod project. Needless to say, Iskall didn't reply to that offer either. Iskall, up until today, which is Jan 31st for Australians or Jan 30th for the Americans, said absolutely nothing on the matter and just continued to let the allegations spiral unchallenged.
Hello, 2 months ago, allegations were cast upon me about consensually chatting with a couple of adult women in the community.
Iskall dropped his response video titled "I Got Cancelled." Kind of ironic because only a few months earlier he made an ironic title named "I Got Cancelled" as a Hermitcraft video. In this video he claims quite a few things, but first and foremost he claims to be innocent. Right? That's what you do in a response, you claim to be innocent. No, he didn't claim to be innocent. He repeatedly, specifically, outlined that the conversations were consensual.
Consensually chatting with a couple of adult women in the community.
And that it's none of our business.
And at the end of the day, I'm human. I got emotions, feelings, and most importantly, a personal, private life.
Aside from literally right here where he says he's neither of these things.
The rumors and allegations portrayed me as a predator and as an abuser. I'm neither of these things.
He doesn't actually specifically deny any of the particular allegations, like this screenshot or this screenshot or this screenshot. He just goes, "I'm not an abuser." That's all he says. Which is not how you want to go with a response, you know, especially if you are trying to get legal sides of these things involved. You can't claim defamation of your character if, number one, your character hasn't been defamed.
The Hermitcraft group then summoned me for a hearing and gave me a deadline of 1.5 hours, time zones considered. I did not have any interest in joining that hearing, as I had at this point already contacted the police and a solicitor in regards to the alleged rumors and potential defamation.
Ultimately, the Hermit's responsibility as a democratically run business to decide whether they want to associate themselves with someone who acts like you or not. And they chose not to.
It also shows that Hermitcraft should have waited before hanging me out as some sort of criminal to millions of people, both on their Twitter and on their Reddit.
Iskall specifically also accuses Hermitcraft of defaming him, when Hermitcraft themselves did nothing of the sort. They didn't do anything to spread the rumours. All they did was make a pure announcement going, they said, hey, we got complaints, we asked Iskall, Iskall left. He resigned, he didn't give a proper response, and Stress Monster with him. Which Iskall explains in the video as Hermitcraft, when they found out, they gave him a deadline to get in a call, which Iskall, for the purposes of making himself look like a victim here, calls a hearing. It's not a hearing, there's just a bunch of people in the call for you to explain your side of things.
The Hermitcraft group then summoned me for a hearing and gave me a deadline of 1.5 hours, time zones considered. I did not have any interest in joining that hearing, as I had at this point already contacted the police and a solicitor in regards to the alleged rumors and potential defamation. They advised me to not comply with Hermitcraft's demands.
They gave him an hour and a half to come in and explain his side of things, which a bunch of people I've seen are calling it unfair that they gave him an hour and a half to explain his side of the allegations. Ultimately, if Hermitcraft doesn't want to associate with him because of his behavior, they need to know then and there if that behavior was accurate or not. Hell, he's lucky he got time to prepare. Usually these sorts of things just you kind of get jumped with this information, you know? Usually you'll hop in a call and everyone will be there and they'll go, and Iskall, we heard this, this, and this. What is your answer? But no, this time they went, okay, prepare all your proof, prepare all whatever for an hour and a half, you got this, and then come to us with your facts, whatever the truth is. Iskall was already in contact with a solicitor and police about possible defamation claims, and they advised him for some reason not to discuss it with the Hermits, probably because he might accidentally incriminate himself, whether he's actually a criminal or not, which is fair enough. Iskall explained this to the Hermits. The Hermits said, well, sorry, we can't do much about that. If you don't come in the hearing, you'll be forcibly removed, because we can't just sit here idly waiting for the police to process it for months when you might actually be a piece of shit. Which makes sense in my subjectively correct objective opinion. But then Iskall, instead of providing any proof to his side of things, by the way, which he just says all of this, he spends the entire response talking about how unfairly people treated him and them just presumed things about him without evidence. And in his response, he provides zero evidence at all, zero, to back up any of his claims. He just says they did this, says this happened, says this. He also then threatens Hermitcraft and says that he knows about bad things that go on behind the scenes and how unfairly they content moderate people.
Neither you nor Hermitcraft have any right to infringe in my private life. There are a lot more things behind the scenes that impacted my decision to leave and not join their hearing, apart from the police advising me not to. I've yet to decide what to share about Hermitcraft and my 8 years as a member, but it feels good to no longer be told to keep quiet about certain things or be content moderated by them. I think everyone will understand by now that things weren't exactly as they were portrayed during my years on Hermitcraft. I mean, at the end of the day, colors were shown when they posted the tweet to spread the alleged rumors and when they didn't moderate their Reddit.
Very interesting, because Iskall, you had multiple chances to leave Hermitcraft, and in fact, you kind of did. During season 7, during seasons 8 and 9, you were barely relevant, you were barely involved, you did 1 to 2 episodes each, and you barely participated. And you made the actual choice to come back for Hermitcraft Season 10. You have multiple videos about it on your channel, about how you were going through personal stuff, but you love the Hermitcraft group. You even invited multiple of those Hermitcraft members, the same people that you are accusing of being bad people. You invited multiple of them to participate in a Vault Hunters series with you. Very intriguing. Ultimately, Hermitcraft is a democracy, If you don't like the fact that some of their members are not going to be happy with your actions, unfortunately, that's not up to you to decide. It's up to the group. For example, Exumavoid, another Hermitcraft member, he made a joke title once for his Hermitcraft video. It was 2 miners, 1 cave. Now that is obviously a reference to 2 girls, 1 cup. And he thought, whatever, it's a slide joke. But another Hermitcraft member came to him and said, look, I feel uncomfortable with, that sort of title in our children-orientated community. And so he changed it. I wouldn't say that's censorship. I wouldn't say that's content control. If I'm sure if you want to make a non-Hermitcraft related video, it's up to you. In fact, most of the hermits swear on stream, where their YouTube audience isn't present and it's more of a mature setting, and the hermits do not monitor that. He also spends dedicated time to talking about how much of a good person he is, repeatedly throughout this.
That leaves people like me, a naive and generous sports ball nerd who enjoys playing and creating video games online, extremely vulnerable. And in a time where I have always valued people's choices, defended the small, fought for the weak and lonely.
What?
It is with great sadness I see so many people forgetting to think.
And making terrible jokes in the middle of very serious talk.
Pitchforks are shamelessly easy to equip. They require no minimum level, nor attributes. Just equip and shout with the masses.
And then he just completely crashes out and starts talking about how this cancel culture is comparable to literal witch hunts where they murdered and drowned people back in the 1600s. He fully crashes out.
The cancel culture can be compared with the witch hunts carried out in the 15 and 1600s, where people would attempt to drown a person, and if they didn't drown, they were deemed a witch and burnt on the stake.
So you watch all of Iskall's response video, and in the end, this is what you get from it. He's a great guy. Trust him. He's a great dude, he just loves sports, okay? His private life is none of your fucking business, and the accusations of him being a manipulator are false. However, the clips and screenshots of everything are real, but they're taken out of context. But he won't show how. And also, you're basically attempting to commit murder on him by agreeing with these accusations, and you are basically doing a witch hunt, a literal witch hunt, where you seek to drown him. Oh, and you shouldn't believe anyone who doesn't give evidence, whilst giving no evidence.
Ah, oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Iskall in his video multiple times talked about the moderators of his Vault Hunters mod, talked about the developers and moderators who had their own opinions on his accusations. And yeah, they work for him. And yeah, like I said in my last video, they did send an email to him, a contract to him, asking him to allow them to continue the development of Vault Hunters, because that's their whole thing. They get paid, they make a living off of Vault Hunters. And so does Iskall, of course, but Iskall wasn't communicating with them. 2 months of no communication with Iskall, and these developers have no idea what to do, but they love the community. Iskall even says that he thinks he has grounds to call them extortionate for sending that email.
5 developers decided to write a document that according to my solicitor can almost be seen as extortion.
That's ridiculous. To accuse the staff who worked so hard on this project of extortion for wanting to continue work on the project is ridiculous. Especially when you show no proof of any of their truths, of any of their thoughts being entirely unfounded or out of malice. You don't even really bring it up. You just say, it's my project, how dare they? They put in just as much effort, and sure, maybe you paid them really well.
It is licensed under ARR, which means that any continuation or use of code needs my approval. The developers have all received more than fair compensation for their time spent developing it. The person that seemingly now is in charge has received more money than most people.
Maybe you did. It doesn't change the fact that you refuse to communicate with them on the future of the project, which is a very, very crucial part, especially if they're being paid well. They don't want that to be lost. And I know you decided to fire them effective immediately for believing the accusations, even though you yourself did not say the accusations were untrue. You just said that it's not a big deal. Iskall, even if you don't consider yourself a manipulator, even if you don't consider yourself an abuser, other people are allowed to have that opinion. And I understand why you wouldn't want people who work for you to have that opinion. You're fully within your right to fire them, just like how Hermitcraft was fully in the right to fire you, because you don't appreciate the morals of your workers, and Hermitcraft didn't appreciate the morals of you. However, to go after them and accuse them of extortion for wanting to continue a passion project that they love, extortion for wanting to finally get in contact with you and get some sort of answer about a situation you left them in the dry on. Hell, even if your legal team told you not to talk to them about the situation, you could have given them an update on what your plan was going forward. For Vault Hunters, the thing their livelihood depends on, you left a bunch of your workers in the dark for 2 straight months and expected them to shut up and do nothing about it. You're a bad employer, is what you are. Accusing them of extortion because you were sad and they sent that letter, and because you were in a sad state, you were more likely to accept that letter.
The document was designed to take full ownership of Vault Hunters, its assets, and all of its funds. Funds that I raised, money that I invested over years into the project. I even drove my company to a loss last year because I really wanted to continue to develop the game. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars here. Now, it needed my signature, and of course I did not comply, and I did not sign it, even if it was sent to me in my weakest, darkest, most horrible days.
You weren't talking to them, Iskall. How the fuck were they supposed to know that you were that affected? And I understand in these sorts of situations, you feel like everyone should know how you feel, but they weren't sending that email with the plot to take over your project and steal it from you. It needed your signature. They didn't do it out of malice. They wanted to continue work on the project that you weren't letting them continue work on. Continue work for the community that they enjoyed that you abandoned. They were being good people. They were doing what was right for the community. And you're sitting here accusing them of extortion and trying to give them legal trouble. Fuck's sake. Generational crash out. Generational crash out. And
it breaks my heart even more to know that 5 developers that I have cared for, created jobs for, created careers for, have called friends, trusted fully, and even helped in their mental lows, would sign such a document instead of at least giving me the benefit of a doubt.
You're not just some sports guy. You're Iskall85. You have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and active viewers, and a whole modding community and employees that you had responsibility for. And sure, maybe you weren't supposed to legally respond to the situation, but give them a fucking heads up. Tell them that the project will continue. They multiple times reached out publicly because they couldn't get in contact with you privately. They reached out publicly. They said, hey man, take the copyright off so maybe we can work on it if you don't want to work on it anymore. So this amazing potential that you've created, we can continue for you. We can continue the legacy of it. And you go after them. And while you're trying to give these people who put their hearts and souls into your passion project, they put their time, their effort into your project. Sure, they were getting paid, but they put all their effort into your project. They loved it enough to try and continue it even without you, even when you weren't there, to support the community. They loved it enough to do that. For you to then accuse them of extortion, and then use half your video to virtue signal that you're actually just some innocent bystander guy that got caught up in some fucking cancel culture. Oh no, poor Iskall. You were one of my top 3 hermits. 100%. And honestly, I wasn't that mad over the allegations. Nothing illegal. You didn't commit anything illegal. Sure, maybe it was a bit manipulative. Sure, maybe it was a bit abusive in some people's eyes. But none of that was a crime. It all mattered on how you responded to it. And you responded by trying to blame everyone else and scare and threaten everyone else. And that's disappointing, really is. It's good to see you haven't lost the support of everybody. You have plenty of people supporting you. My video got dislike bombed into hell. My last video was getting too long. I didn't want to also include this part in it, otherwise it would be 20 minutes. But it's sad. It's sad, man. The Hermits didn't slander you, didn't libel you. They gave you an ultimatum. They said, hey, explain this to us, because it doesn't fit with our morals. If you don't, within a certain amount of time, we're gonna have to take the drastic action of kicking you out. And you chose to not give them any context. Whether that was legal advice or not, you chose to take it, and you resigned. Hermitcraft came out, they said, hey, Iskall, we got a few complaints about him. We asked him, he resigned. Out of respect for the victims, we won't say anything about the situation. And then they didn't. They said nothing. And you're sitting here accusing them, some of which who defended you, Mumbo Jumbo, who cleared your name, because a lot of predator accusations were going around, specifically mentioned you weren't going after children, and you're sitting there threatening them? It's embarrassing. Your ego is embarrassing. It is. It is. Anyway, update on Stress Monster. I did pin a comment, but update on Stress Monster. Yeah, she commented on Iskall's video, throwing her full support behind him. I'm not going to go after Stress here. She's had enough stress, I'm sure. Haha. But yeah, I just wanted to give the update, that's all. This will probably be my last video about Iskall, unless updates happen, unless the Hermits respond or something stupid. After Iskall's video dropped the other day, we got quite a few responses from Hermit members, which I wasn't expecting personally. I've seen people in my comment section call these responses immature. The Hermits clearly don't want massive drama tarnishing their brand. That's mostly the reason why they got rid of Iskall in the first place. So doing it in this very sly way, I think it's par for the course. I think it fits. So, kicking it off here, we have Impulse. Great quote from a great movie. It's funny how all living organisms are like. When the chips are down, when the pressure is on, every creature on the face of the earth is interested in one thing and one thing only. It's survival. In the voice of Skiz, name it. And then you get Welsh Knight, who is another Hermitcraft member, replying, wait, I think I know this one. Liar Liar, starring Jim Carrey? Impulse replies, nailed it. So, obviously this is directed at Iskall, saying that he's a liar. Cool. Then Welsh himself went off. That didn't happen, and if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. Dana Craig, the narcissist prayer. Love it. This is obviously directed at Iskall as well. He made another post which is now deleted. I haven't been able to find it just yet, but Welsh made another post that is now deleted that said even more stuff, which he apologized for later on. Then we had Scar. Of all people, Scar got involved. I wasn't expecting, of all people, the arguably the nicest Hermitcraft member to get involved. But yeah, we have good times with Scar posting old movie poster hits hard, and you can see it's for the movie Gaslight. Which I think is a pretty obvious call out right there to Iskall. Obviously, the thing that makes this all an Iskall response is they all did this right after Iskall did his video, making it very evident who they're directing it at. And then we had Cubfan replying to I believe this was Impulse. Saying, Fletcher wasn't all that bad. He took responsibility for his actions. Some people never do. And the truth shall set you free. Ooh. So we've had Cub, Scar, Impulse, Welsh all respond to this from movie quotes, which is great. I think that's amazing. XB Crafted also retweeted Good Times with Scars Gaslight post. But yeah, so far, that's all the Hermitcraft responses.
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby!
Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's cover all the topics you guys brought up in the comment sections, and let's debunk them one by one. Or maybe you're right, maybe I was wrong. Or maybe you're misreading some things and I need to explain them to you. Let's go. Here we go. The crazy thing to me is you keep pointing out how he doesn't show proof or reveal anything new without considering the fact that he can't or shouldn't do to the police or lawyers' advice. In my video, I pointed out that yeah, this response doesn't provide any proof to the contrary of anything at all. He says things to the contrary, but he doesn't provide proof of them. But he can't, because of his lawyer. Of course, that's why he can't. But why does that mean we should then believe he automatically has that proof? Why does that mean we should believe it? Why does that make that response a good response? When he says I have it, but I can't show it to you, why does that make his response any better than someone literally just saying, he raped me with no evidence? How does that make it any better? Explain to me in the comments how saying, guys, look, here's something that totally is happening, but I can't show you proof because my lawyer said I can't, versus he said he raped me. Why is one more believable than the other? Because he said his lawyer said he can't? Do you understand the logical fallacy in that? You're just taking his word at face value, okay? And look, even if his lawyer did say all this, my video, which I think a lot of you guys misconstrued, my video was not about the fact that he, as this commenter says, he doesn't owe anyone an explanation. My video wasn't about the fact that he doesn't or does owe anyone an explanation. My video wasn't about how he's such a terrible person. My video was about the fact that his response video was not a good response to the allegations laid against him. It didn't deny them. He didn't confirm them. He didn't show any proof. He actively threatened to release company secrets of Hermitcraft. He indirectly threatened to release company secrets of Hermitcraft, because a lot of you got on my case that he didn't specifically threaten them. He didn't specifically threaten them, but he did say, I've yet to think about what I should reveal from my 8 years at Hermitcraft. That's a threat. That is a threat to the members of Hermitcraft, even though it's indirect, okay? Instead, I honestly believe he shouldn't have released that video. If he couldn't show any proof to the contrary, if he couldn't do anything in that video to disprove those allegations, he shouldn't have spent the video crying about how they've affected him. He spent the majority of the video talking about how it affected him, not talking about how they're untrue. In fact, he multiple times talked about how they are true, but they've just been taken out of context. Him saying they are true, but they've been taken out of context automatically makes his response a whole lot worse. I do not care if Iskall is actually a manipulative abuser. I don't care. This video is not about whether he's guilty or not, and I've said as such in multiple comments. This video is about whether his response was a measured response to the current thing going on. It was not. He did not talk about how the evidence, he did not prove the evidence was taken out of context. He did not give more context to the evidence, and maybe he couldn't. Then don't make the video. Don't make the video if you can't provide more context. Does that not make sense? He just made a video completely unbasely claiming things, right? Whilst throughout saying that people were unbasely claiming things on him. He's being a hypocrite. And threatening people who did nothing to him, right? So let's move on to the next point, because I think I've covered that enough, okay? Hermitcraft, I think his lawyer told him to hold off for a bit. No reason he has to listen to Hermitcraft. Let's move on to the hearing, okay? The hearing argument that you guys have made. Your argument is, correct me if I'm wrong, 1.5 hours was way too short for Iskall to prove they gave him 1.5 hours to come up with proof that he didn't do something there was no proof he did. That is your argument, okay? And that his lawyer said he shouldn't. Cool, that's fine, okay? What I said in my video was not about whether he should have hopped in that call to respond. It was not about that at all. My response was talking about why it was justified that the hermits did that or not. That's what my response was about. So when you guys come into my comment section and say I think Iskall's a horrible person, no. I just think he was wrong to make the hermits out like evil people for something he did, ultimately, right? Number one, Iskall is an employee in a massive Minecraft server, okay, that houses a lot of different creators with different opinions, I'm sure. The one thing they all agree on, to a quite good extent, is that their channels all need to be kid-friendly for their ecosystem to thrive. The one thing Hermitcraft as a business does not want is controversy. They go to great lengths to get rid of it. The YouTube public eye where children can be hurt by it. They go to great lengths. Hermitcraft had accusations come to them about Iskall's personal life, saying that Iskall had used his position in the community to manipulate a bunch of older women into sexual acts whilst he was in a relationship. They came with whatever receipts they ended up coming with. The receipts that were posted publicly, as the victims stated, are different from the ones that they sent the hermits, because the hermits saw the real ones, okay? Which is basically the same as saying, no guys, I have the full context of the screenshots, but my lawyer said I can't show them. It's the same. All of you guys saying that the victims accused him without any evidence. Iskall provided even less evidence than that, and just used a lawyer as a crutch, okay? The hermits are a business. They have priority. They're also all friends. And they need to know if someone in their circle who they are promoting constantly every single day is doing things wrong or not. They didn't immediately perceive him as guilty. They gave him the chance to explain those accusations. He was just being accused of talking to these women in a sexual way and using his power to manipulate, I guess kind of groom them with screenshots that Iskall should have access to, right? Cool. The fact that his lawyer said don't join the call, that's out of the hermit's control. The hermits aren't going to wait for the police investigation to finish before they decide to get rid of said person, because he could cause more harm to their brand reputation if they decided to keep him. However, and this is where a lot of people compare them to Disney with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, because Disney came out and said he was an abuser after, a few post articles. I think Disney had the right, even with Johnathan Majors, to fire them while they're being accused of stuff and wait for the real proof to come. I do not think Disney had a right to further those allegations and publicize them and talk about how he was an abuser publicly. Hermitcraft did not do this. Multiple times they defended him publicly. False in her Discord server defended him. Mumbo on Twitter publicly defended him and said no minors were involved. They actively declined allegations against Iskall. The only thing they did was make it public that yes, some complaints they didn't come forward with any context of what those complaints were. They just said some complaints have come out against Iskall. We asked him and he decided to resign. For the victim's sake, victims of his supposed crime, we will not be saying anything further. That is not a witch hunt. That is not them defaming him. All they did was say, we have reasonable suspicion, and he didn't satisfy that suspicion. He did not satisfy the level of proof needed to satisfy that suspicion, and he left. It was just announcing he resigned, and for what reason. I think it's ridiculous that you guys go out there and try to label them as intentionally trying to destroy Iskall's career when they were as nice to him as they possibly could have been. And that is my issue with Iskall's video. He villainizes anyone who believed the allegations, and maybe he has the right to villainize specifically the accusers, right? The victims who came forward with lacks of evidence and tried to make him out as a groomer by apparently cropping screenshots, right? He has a right to go after them if he knows it's not true, but the hermits did not publicly come out and go, Iskall is a predator. Iskall is an abuser. They did not do that. It's just as plain and simple as that. They did not do that. If they had, my video wouldn't have come out. They did not. They actively defended him in multiple points. They just made it public for future knowledge. Hey, he left. I'm not going to tell you the reason why he left, but there were complaints. That's it. I think it's atrocious that you guys are equalizing these two situations. I think that's ridiculous, honestly. If your solicitor has advised you not to talk about something, of course he's not going to talk about it. Hermitcraft is a business, but it's some etiquette to that respect. I'm not saying he's innocent, but he's made good points about bullshitty videos like this, accusing him. I wasn't accusing him. This is another major point. I have never and will never accuse Iskall of predatory behavior because there is not enough evidence to substantiate such. Iskall's response talking about cancel culture was somewhat entirely correct. There is a massive cancel culture issue going on with Iskall at the moment. There is not enough evidence. He hasn't committed any crimes. Yet a bunch of people are acting like he has. But that didn't justify Iskall's response. Iskall's response should have been all about that cancel culture. It should have been all about the people who were going after him. But instead he decided to implicate Hermitcraft and all the hermits as well. He decided to go on a witch hunt, as, he likes to say happened to him. He publicly accused his Vault Hunters staff, people who he employs, people who have no fame to a level of his, of trying to extort him because they sent a letter to him. After 2 months of no communication, they sent a letter that offered, not demanded, offered, do you know what that word means? Offered to take Vault Hunters as a project from him and all the proceeds it made so they could continue the development of the project without him because they need his permission to do so. And they loved that project. They were not trying to extort him by sending the message saying, give me this or else. Or else what? They have no threats over him. They weren't threatening to resign. They were just saying, hey, you employ us, you give us good money. However, you seem to not care about the project that we're working on anymore. You haven't responded to us for 2 months. We need a response. They publicly asked for a response from Iskall multiple times, repeatedly. Iskall did not respond. They offered him this, so maybe honestly, I think it's a good thing they sent the letter. Iskall wasn't interacting with the project. These guys are still passionate about it. They offer Iskall, hey, if you're not interested in this project anymore, give it to us. Hand it over. And it's all good. We'll continue it, and you don't have to be a part of it anymore. Because he was not replying. He was not responding to their messages. I think it's ridiculous. Even the audience is accusing them of extortion. It's silly. It's genuinely silly. Those Hermitcraft, those Vault Hunters staff have been fired now, which again, that's Iskall's prerogative. He's allowed to fire them. If he disagrees with them, he's allowed to fire them. They had their personal opinions about him. He's allowed to fire them. Hermitcraft had their personal opinions about Iskall. They were allowed to ask questions, and when Iskall denied to even answer a question, whether it was at the leisure of his lawyer or not, they encouraged him to resign, and he did. You know what's even funnier with this extortion angle? His lawyer doesn't even agree. As a wonderful commenter pointed out, I will get it up on the screen now. His lawyer said it could be considered close to extortion. That's lawyer speak for it's not extortion. Close to. Not is. Because if it was extortion, they would be suing them. His lawyer is not. He said it could. It is close to. That's not it is. The lawyer doesn't even agree with you guys that they were extorting Iskall. The lawyer just says he thinks it's close to extortion. His response was very calm and reasonable. Please hop off the cancel culture bandwagon. Just because Iskall spoke without venom on his tongue does not mean those lies weren't whispered. Iskall, sure, he wasn't yelling and screaming about how Hermitcraft defamed him, but he was saying, I am super ashamed that even my closest friends would come after such an innocent sports player like me, who just likes making video games and defending the meek in my free time. And I know a lot of things about them, and I haven't decided what I'm gonna say, but I will say stuff. That's a threat! He is threatening them with a calm voice. You are being manipulated. You are being manipulated. He is manipulating you now. You are one of his victims. That's a joke, because a lot of people didn't seem to understand that I was joking about him comparing the witch hunts to real life thing. A lot of people seem to think I was taking that seriously and taking it out of context just to bring it up. You suck. Innocent until proven guilty. I don't think immediately treating him like a criminal is what the hermits should have done. They didn't. They didn't presume he was guilty. They gave him time to explain himself, and when he decided not to explain himself, they said, look, even if you aren't guilty, it's better for us to not associate with you for the meantime while we figure out what's going on. Because the risk for them, for their brand, if what he did is true, and it's actually deeper than what we were shown by the victims, is too high, and the brand has the right to do that. This whole thing was blown way out of proportion. A failed attempt at flirting among adults, albeit a little weird. I understand Hermitcraft has an image to uphold to a certain demographic, and fully support them in confronting Iskall, but I will still support Iskall. Sick of videos like these trying to leech off any controversy. You're part of the problem. Go find some real content to create. I'm gonna ignore the personal attack and go after the other stuff here. You're correct. This was blown way out of proportion. Iskall, what he did was not illegal, though most might find it immoral. The Try Guys, recently, as of like 2 years ago, fired a member of theirs just for touching up on an employee, right? Because he was cheating on his wife, and that doesn't uphold their channel's values. Those allegations were private. That was his private life. Were they defaming him by firing him? No. They even made a whole video talking about the accusations against him. Hermitcraft didn't come close to that. Hermitcraft actively presumed his innocence, did not say why he had resigned, did not say what he was accused of, did multiple times try to negate the public outcry by saying no minors were involved. None of them said shit until Iskall came back with a video accusing them of trying to tarnish him, which they did not. Other people on the internet, sure. The hermits themselves did no such thing publicly that went to tarnish him, and I hate people who keep commenting, just wait till what the police find, because if they're guilty, we'll know then. Because if his whole case is about defamation, then we would know, because we're the public perception he's talking about. We are the people that he's talking about. That's the whole thing. Defamation is when your character is defamed. Who is it defamed to? It is defamed to the public. So there isn't private things going on behind the scenes that maybe he was defamed for that we don't know about. No, we know because he was defamed. That's the whole fucking point. You can go after the victims, say they defamed you, but Hermitcraft did nothing except take precaution. That's it. Did nothing but except take precaution. But what I will not back down on is that Iskall is a terrible employer and went after his employees for just trying to do what's best for his project. That's what I won't back down on. Vault Hunter's staff have responded to Iskall's accusations in a Reddit post with evidence, something Iskall seemingly could not do. I see a lot of you were mad at my comment section, saying that there was no proof and I was speculating. So let's actually look at some proof, shall we? The mods responded. Here we go. 5 former Vault Hunter devs. This document is a response to the allegations levied against 5 people who sent Iskall a document that is akin to extortion, to paraphrase his statement. We're releasing internal and or private communications to provide further context to the story. The timeline spans November 12th, 2024 to January 30th, 2025. This includes specific dates that were key to what events that happened, screenshots of communications, people involved, and summaries. Some key points which were only communicated via voice chat and thus have no recorded proof are excluded from being mentioned, except those that can be corroborated by multiple team members having been told the same thing independently from one another. This document does not address other concerns, false or misleading statements made by him, or questions raised by the community or by Iskall's video, and focuses solely on the timeline of events the team and individual people experienced. In case it is necessary, other clarifying statements outlining communications and context regarding the points may be made at a later date to avoid mischaracterizations or other false allegations. Should circumstances arise where the follow-up statement about these or other facts become necessary, we will formulate another document in a similar manner. All times in the timestamps on the screenshots are in CET and GMT +1. We provide a quick TLDR here for those who don't want to read and see the long version. Nonetheless, we urge people to read and see and come to their own. Pepper was contacted via a team member who had contact with Iskall. Hello, could you invite Iskall85 to your friends list, please? It's Iskall's temporary account. Please don't anyone know. Hello. Quick call? 16th of November. Via the same team member, Hellfire added a previously unknown account of Iskall's as a friend to establish contact. This was supposed to be kept private at the time. Hi Hellfire, could you add Iskall1985 to your friend list please, and do not tell anyone about this. Hellfire. Sure, okay. Hello, the reason I'm not around is because I don't have access to Discord. Hellfire. Hey, damn, what the fuck, okay? Victor. Keep this account very, very private for now. Hellfire, yeah, no worries. Victor, some bad shit has happened, but I can't get to it at the moment, okay? I'm okay. Pepper knows already that I'm on this account. They added everyone to a group chat. On the 16th and to the 21st of November, each were informed of the hack and legal consultation being sought to clean up the accusations. The team worked on finalizing the public update 16 and the last few changes and additions. A group with Iskall's second account, Pepperfly and Hellfire, was created on the 19th, where preparations were coming for the upcoming Vault Hunters SMP event, as you can see here. Hellfire and Pepperfly, both mods, coordinated future Vault Hunters updates with Iskall. November 23rd, which would be the 24th in Australia, Hermitcraft news broke. Hellfire and Pepperfly were informed by a few members about the context of the accusations. Hellfire let the SMP members know that some coordination of the dev team would happen. Hellfire approached Iskall to ask for context and about temporary custodianship of the project. A quick voice call was made, during which Iskall stood firmly on his prior position of being hacked, offering proof and full context of legal documents going forward. Communications broke down quickly after asking for custodianship, Hellfire's call. I, Hellfire, was made aware that streamers distanced themselves from the SMP due to them having not known about the situation earlier. Uncertainties for the pack development and community support going forward arose personally. Iskall claimed that we, Hellfire and Pepper, would be informed on this decision by Monday 25th, and additionally, specifically also legal information would be provided to us by then. So there you go, Victor is promising to communicate. The following message was posted to the internal Vault Hunters SMP Discord by Stress Monster's account. The message was also removed 20 to 30 minutes later. There was no entry in the audit log at that time, so the original messenger removed the message themselves. This message was seen by multiple developers and some streamers and had 5 reactions before it got deleted. A message from Iskall. Some of you may be wondering where I am, or more so, why I have not responded here in Discord. Specifically with the news posted by the Hermitcraft of me resigning. A week ago, allegations of non-criminal nature were made against me by the community members. These allegations were completely false and have been reported to the police. We are currently in the process of starting defamation investigation against several peers. Due to the allegations of mine and Stress's mental health has been extremely low. These concerns were shared with Hermitcraft, as well as the fact the allegations have been taken to the police. Hermitcraft required us to discuss the matter with them, which we were legally advised not to do, and we were given an ultimatum by Hermitcraft, so we decided to resign. My Discord account has been locked since the 12th of November, and it will be handed to authorities to help them with their investigation. As for the public, I, Iskall, will not further comment, and will await the legal process. I am not accused of anything illegal, and allegations are completely false. That's a better response than his video is. Anyway. November 25th. No statement of Iskall's reached any of the Vault Hunters team members, nor was brought forward. So a statement was formulated among the team members who were a part of the new Discord to relay the situation from our side to the streamers on the SMP. After majority of everyone saw the proposed statement and gave feedback, it was posted in the internal Vault Hunters SMP Discord. And here's the statement. This is a massive statement, I'm not going to read it all. However, they talk about the fact that they haven't been able to get communication with Iskall, and that they really want to get communication with Iskall to continue the project forward. On November 27th, a final Discord response from Iskall reached Pepper. It read that any interested team members should formally reach out to him via email regarding ownership transfer of the project. It should include parts that we request and who is behind the request. After that message, he would be unable to communicate via Discord at all until the legal prosecutions were finalized. In addition, any outstanding invoices would be sent, but Pepperfly didn't know if there were any outstanding at that time. Hi Pepper. For legal reasons, I am restricted in communicating anything in this post but the ownership of the project. So the people who commented down below saying he couldn't talk to them, he could, and he did. Here we go. Please send me an email formally requesting what you and or the other team is requesting in terms of the mod pack. Please make sure to name by name every and each team member who are behind this decision, and to include their emails and other such contact details. Please have them sign their statement as well. In regards of invoices outstanding, make sure that they email me what invoices they are referring to, including information about work that needed to be done and dates. I will, after this message, no longer be available over Discord until legal process is finalized. Thank you. So right there, what Iskall has done, in my opinion, is trap them. Iskall has just gone, hey, if you're really serious about the ownership transfer, send me information, send me what you would like. That's okay, send me that request. So to anyone saying it was extortion, he asked for it to be sent to them. He asked for it. He asked for the message to be sent to them. So, after he asks for it and gets them to provide their name, email addresses, and signatures so they can be identified, he plays the victim later and calls the police. Do you see how that could be malicious? And here is the proposed transfer of assets. Transfer ownership agreement, effective, the date, serves as the official ownership transfer of all relevant assets publicly known as Vault Hunters, a Minecraft mod pack. Transferring parties to transfer. 85 Entertainment AB, a company incorporated under the laws of Sweden and or Victor, known publicly as Iskall85, as an individual. Transfer parties. The understanding Vault Hunters development team, responsible for all future decision making regarding the assets listed within this document. Intent. Given the atmosphere regarding recent publicly disclosed information against Iskall85, many Vault Hunters developers would like to act in the best interest of the mod pack. It is those team members' belief that should Iskall85 have any association to the mod pack, the continued development of the mod pack and the community acceptance would not be guaranteed and would lead to the end of the project. This document serves as the official transfer of assets to preserve the public image of this mod pack. Should the accusations prove to be false, and should they no longer pose harm to the perception of Vault Hunters brand, the Vault Hunters developers will willingly revert ownership to Iskall85 and or 85 Entertainment. Right there. That's all we really need to know. Right there. It says it all. It says everything I said. They wanted to continue development of the mod pack. Iskall asked them to offer this to him. Iskall, in here it explicitly says, hey, we're not accusing you of anything, it's just going to really hurt the brand and you don't seem interested anymore, so let us take over the development for now. And they will willingly return it to Iskall. Iskall asked for this email, by the way. Anyway, we undersigned Vault Hunters developers request the transfer of all Vault Hunters assets, including but not limited to the Vault Hunters mod pack and source code, documentation, user manuals and technical specifications, branding elements such as logos, designs and trademarks, rights to future updates, expansions and modifications, all associated intellectual property rights including copyright and trademarks, ownership of the Vault Hunters Patreon account including rights to change banking and contacts, or the right to direct patrons to a new account to use the Vault Hunters name and closing the account owned by transferors, any unallocated and future funds from the Vault Hunters Patreon account, less outstanding invoices are, as outlined below, the Vault Hunters Discord server, Vault Hunters official Discord server, and a right to remain in the Iskall85 dev Discord server and to use its assets. Website domains, assets, all assets, the Iskalia Git repository, the Vault Hunters Twitch extension, and any donations to the asset, and all assets released for the use of Vault Hunters. So as you can see there, they're not asking for all the money he put into it, they're just asking for the rights to the money that comes in now. If any legal proceedings with a final determinant including any appeals that proves no wrongdoing by either party, updates will be sent back, and the stuff will be sent back. There we go, disclosure. Iskall. Per your request, we created a document outlining our interest for the future of Vault Hunters mod pack. Please look over it and suggest any edits you would like to see. Once we can agree on a version that works for both sides, we will include contact information and sign. In the future, we intend to use Bleep for communication, so please respond to it. Keep it included in the CC. Respectfully, all the mods. Now, you know what's great about that? It literally says, hey, Iskall, you can make any edits to it you want, buddy. Any edits you want. Don't feel pressured, make any edits you want, we hope we can come to an agreement, this is a first draft. Then the Vault Hunters team made statements because pressure was mounting and Iskall hadn't responded. And there you go, that's the end of the document. There is still a little bit more in the document that I did not read. I highly recommend you go over it for yourself, but this is dead proof that Iskall was lying in his video. The Vault Hunters employees responded, and this is pretty conclusive evidence, especially when compared to Iskall's video. But there was another Iskall document that I missed. It was Pepperfly's document, which it shows actually more evidence of what Iskall did to the Vault Hunters staff. I was a member of Vault Hunters development team for more than 2 years. Throughout that time, I enjoyed the company of the team, and I also enjoyed working with Iskall, and how the cooperation/payments were based on trust. For example, we never had a contract, but I could trust that I would get paid, and Iskall could trust that I would deliver and to what I committed to. Unfortunately, that came to a bitter end late last year, and now, with the cancelled video, I feel like there are some more things that need to be said and clarified. This document only covers the last 9 months or so, primarily from my point of view, and ends at the time Iskall stopped speaking to me. From that point on, there was an effort to agree on a handover of the mod pack, and later on figuring out spiritual successors with the core team, which is covered in the team document. Which, the team document is what we saw last time. In May 2024, I was let go from my previous job and felt like taking a break from doing regular jobs, so I contacted Iskall. Then I could spend 100% of my time on Vault Hunters for 5 months or so while I kept my LinkedIn profile marked as open to work. I got a few invites to interviews and in the end got 2 very decent offers. At the same time, Iskall contacted me about creating a standalone game and made an offer to me for less than what the other offers were for. But in addition offered a share of the game's profits, once all costs including my own salaries paid from revenue. It was my dream to one day have a share in a video game company and create something people love, so in the end I rejected the other offers and agreed to work with Iskall. This is Pepperfly's document. Right here in this image we can see Iskall saying that some of you may be wondering where I am, why I haven't responded here in Discord, specifically with the news posted by Hermitcraft of me resigning a week ago. Allegations, spelt wrong, of a non-criminal nature was made against me by a community member. These allegations are completely false and have been reported to the police. We are currently in the process of starting a defamation investigation against several peers. Due to these allegations, mine and Stress's mental health has been extremely low. These concerns were shared with Hermitcraft as well as the fact that the allegations have been taken to the police. Hermitcraft required us to discuss the matter with them, which we were advised legally not to do. We were given an ultimatum by Hermitcraft, so we decided to resign. As for the public, I, Iskall, will not comment further and will await legal processes. I am not accused of anything illegal, and they are completely false. And then Pepper sent over a message. So I wanted to follow up on what's happening. I'll be super honest, that even though I hope this could somehow continue, well, it's becoming super hard for me to believe your side of the story. More information came out, there was no public communication from you. I would believe that even lawyer redacted message about account breach could be posted. The only communication that you sent on Saturday was deleted and you didn't reach out on Monday, and any additional info. Honestly, at this point, even if you're innocent, I feel that given no communication, it's getting to a point where whatever game we would create would have an issue being marketed just because of the association with your name. I'm going to take 1 to 2 weeks away to give this and give you the final word, but then I don't feel positive about going forward with this game. Also, regarding the Vault Hunters mod pack, if you value what was built here and would like it to continue in any way, I would hope that you understand at this point your association hurts the project a lot. And the only way forward in the short term is disassociating you from the project, and only get associated with the project again when you clear your name. You should transfer the project, GitHub/Discord, to someone on the team that you trust. I could be the one if you want, that's up to you. Also spoke to insert member here. They mentioned some outstanding invoices I'm hoping to get cleared up. So here they said you should just transfer the project to someone that you trust really well to give it back. Up to you. To which Iskall then said, "Hi Pepper, for legal reasons I'm restricted in commenting anything about this post. Please send the email formally requesting what you and or the team is requesting in terms of a mod pack. Please make sure to name by name each member who are behind this decision and include their emails or other contact details. Please get them to sign the statement as well." That is the message we had last time that multiple people in the comments didn't believe actually happened, but there's the actual screenshot for you. There you go. And there you go, you finally get to see what Iskall actually said there, and you get to see the full context of the conversation. Pepper said, "Hey, right now you're accused of some pretty bad stuff. I think it would be a good idea if you transferred the GitHub stuff over and the Discord stuff over to a trusted member who will give it back when you clear your name." And Iskall was like, "Alright then, send me a legal document with all of your names and anyone who's behind this decision, and I'll make some consideration." Which was obviously a trap to get them, I don't know, to expose themselves as people who would extort him, which is funny and ridiculous. Anyway, so there you go, there's another document that I forgot to cover. The only document people want me to cover now is the Kimura document. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. It's a 150-page document. I have read it. In my opinion, the microaggressions angle of the whole situation, it's very spread out, and to do that story justice, I feel like it would take someone a lot more smarter with a script than me to piece together all the allegations there and make it coherent, because in the document itself it's not really that coherent what Iskall's being accused of, and maybe that's just my media literacy. I hope it's not. But that document is a bit confusing within itself, and it's 150 pages long, and I do not wish to misrepresent Kimura by saying something wrong. So there's Pepperfly's statement on the whole situation. So there were a few of you who, I don't know, I think might have, just maybe a little bit, thought that the video I made was woke. Oh no, guys, not woke. The thing that right-wingers don't even know what the definition is. Nobody does. You've made it up, you know, woke. Usually meaning anything diverse. Except woke now also means if you side with a victim in a drama. Woke now also means if you believe in science, like climate change. Woke now also means that if there is absolute evidence that someone, you know, may have done something shitty and you believe it, you're woke. All I did through my video was say, hey guys, Iskall's response was very aggressive towards both the people he employs and his previous, I guess, employers in the form of Hermitcraft. Very aggressive in a way that I don't think fitted the situation at all, and I think what Hermitcraft did was reasonable in comparison to Iskall's crash out. Clearly Z1 Hayes here did not agree with me. My bad. I apologize for showing the fact that Iskall actively tricked his employees into providing their personal information so he could shame them and sue them. Sorry, I won't use that word. Do we just live on two different planets where what Iskall did to his employees, according to you guys, is completely reasonable just because he owns the business? That they go, hey, we have some complaints and we think it's a good idea that you might change it over. And he goes, all right, send a formal legal request to me with all your names. So they did, and then he goes, they're extorting me! They sent a legal request that amounts to extortion! They're extorting me! Is that not... did they not do exactly what he asked after they just voiced some complaints? How is that woke? How I really want someone to explain to me how what Hermitcraft did, how what the Vault Hunter staff did, how what I did was W-O-K-E, woke. Because I'm agreeing with the employed instead of the employer. The word woke doesn't even have a meaning anymore. Well, I mean, it never really did, but at this point, everyone's just pointing the woke finger. I don't know. Here's another comment from Real Ninja123. The other hermits are woke, sensitive crybabies who bend to the knee of their even softer fanbase. Although, the community is still in grade school, so why would anyone expect them to understand the concept of assuming innocence until verdicts are made? I guess cancel culture is dead because Iskall is still going to continue to profit from YouTube. That last comment was sarcastic, by the way, but I feel like this comment misses the point incredibly. Very well. I'm impressed with how well you've managed to miss the point, sir. Hermitcraft has a public responsibility to stay out of things that could possibly harm their young audience. And when one of their members is being outed, especially in this sort of climate where in 2024, people made a joke about this, they had a calendar, a pedophile calendar, one for every month. We can't have situations where a Hermitcraft member is having sexual relationships with fans that are exploitative in nature, even if they're not young, they're exploitative in nature, and have no explanation for it. At the end of the day, we have to remember that Iskall resigned. Hermitcraft didn't accuse him of pedophilia. They went to lengths to make sure nobody thought it was pedophilia. Multiple members came out and go, hey, it's not pedophilia. They weren't accusing them of that. They just said, hey, here's some drama. We need you to explain it for our brand. Hermitcraft is a brand. They have brand responsibility first, to protect their audience first. Iskall chose not to respond at the advice of his lawyer, and Hermitcraft decided, well, we're not going to wait for this to get litigated out, because it could cause even more trouble. We're going to get rid of him, or at least prompt him to resign, which he then did. This whole woke, sensitive crybabies thing, because they saw allegations, went, hey, can you explain them? Iskall said no and resigned. How does that make Hermitcraft woke, sensitive crybabies? I don't understand. Help me understand why that makes them woke, sensitive crybabies, that they were doing due diligence around their company. They didn't accuse Iskall of anything. They never did that. They never even tried to cancel Iskall. Iskall blew this all up through the Streisand effect. You think half of the fucking Hermitcraft audience would have known about this situation if Iskall didn't make his cancelled video? He was never cancelled. It's very confusing. He could have made a video why I resigned from Hermitcraft. He could have explained why he couldn't, say the allegations and the unfair time limits. That's fair. But he proceeded to accuse Hermitcraft of trying to destroy his career when they did no such thing. That makes me woke and sensitive? Sure. Here's another person. I would say it's completely valid to ask for contact information and signatures of people who want their project to be transferred, especially the ones who are being transferred to. That's reasonable, yes, it is reasonable for that, sure. However, that ignores the context that Iskall then took that letter to cry extortion. Of course he wants to know who he's transferring the project to, that makes 100% sense. But then for him to take that note, to fire people, and to cry extortion in his very public video against some staff members that are just random people, I don't understand. That is obviously abuse. Like abuse of your position, abuse of your power. I feel like that is very obvious. Continuing. Iskall has invested a lot of money out of his own pocket, and they probably have their own investors, us as well, who want legal proof of the transfer. That is true. However, they don't have investors, by the way. It's Iskall's sole project, but I will give you the benefit of the doubt. Yes, of course you would want to know who it's transferred to. Furthermore, he already their employer and already has their information. That is true. Why would he need to bait it out of them? That's not what I was saying. You missed the point of my video completely. I was saying he baited them into sending the email so he could cry extortion. That's it. He took the email, and instead of going, okay, I reject your claims, he went, okay, they're extorting me! They're extorting me! Help! That's what he did. That's the equivalent. I think it's an IQ malfunction. I genuinely do. I think for people to take my videos or to take Iskall's thing at face value without any critical thinking is the result of an IQ of someone resembling a calagmite. I don't understand. Or maybe I'm the dumb one. In addition, I would like to add, there is some truth in the statement that Sweden is less woke. I'm from Norway, a neighbouring country to Sweden, and the culture is quite similar. Here it is, example, not nearly as looked down upon to use the N-word. That doesn't make you less woke. Okay. The point that Safnik was making was that, guys, Iskall can abuse Iskall can abuse his fans. Iskall can do that. Iskall can sext his fans because he's from Sweden and he's not used to the cultural norms of America. Because America's woke. Whoa! Completely ignoring the fact that Karalis is also from Sweden. Completely ignoring that. Karalis hasn't had any of these issues. Sure, Sweden might be less, quote-unquote, woke when it comes to the N-word. Now, why would that be? Why would that be? Could it be the fact that people of African descent only make up 2% of Sweden's entire population? 1.5 to 2%. Could that be the reason the N-word is not looked down upon as much? Could it be the reason that Sweden doesn't have a rich, colourful history, quite recently, of racial violence and racial prejudice? Although I'm sure they had their own issues. I'm just not educated enough to speak on them. That would be the reason that Sweden is not as quote-unquote woke. However, Sweden does allow religious books to get burned and all other sorts. I would consider them quote-unquote woke, even though it doesn't have a fucking meaning. They're just progressive. But in the way that Safnik described it, which was...
Iskall is also just from a different culture. He's from Sweden. Ever since I started watching Hermitcraft in 2017, I noticed that. The rest of the hermits are from the US, the UK, etc., those countries, so obviously the culture is a bit more different and a lot more woke. So I think it was never meant to be.
Aralis. He's from Poland, but he lived in Sweden for most of his life. I do not understand. I don't understand it. But yeah, no guys, just remember believing the victim is woke, wanting employee rights is woke, not wanting to be abused by your employer is woke, criticizing Iskall is woke, going after him at all is woke.
Insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over again, expecting shit to change.
Meanwhile,
The mining duck, or Ducky, as I'll be referring to him throughout this video because that's what he's most known for, made a YouTube video recently on his second account called How the Hermits Ruined Iskall85's Life. That video is a deeply facetious attempt at trying to slander Hermitcraft and the victims of Iskall. Now, why do I say this? Well, I say this because in this video he uses Iskall's words provided with no evidence, Iskall's words that were provided with no evidence that I deeply criticized Iskall for, he uses those words to say that Hermitcraft, without any evidence, that Hermitcraft slandered and abused Iskall. Very interesting. Iskall provided zero evidence. Let's remind ourselves here, Iskall in that video provided zero evidence. The mining duck in his video provides zero evidence aside from the fact Iskall said it did. Iskall said in his video, the hermits went after me with no proof and they ran after me with false accusations. And the accusations that the accusations that came against me were false. And the mining duck then proceeds to say, as you can see, the accusations were false and the hermits ruined his life. And then Iskall went to virtue signal and he goes, but my life's been ruined and I'm just a cool guy, you know, I'm just a chill guy. I watch footy, I'm a sportsman, I'm just a chill, humble sportsman that likes to help people. And now I'm being slandered. And then the mining duck goes, he was clearly slandered and had his life ruined. And as you can see, this is the effect false accusations can have on people. The mining duck, or Ducky, is a slop YouTuber. I know that's rich coming from me as a now commentary slop YouTuber, but he provides no evidence at all, and he just continues to spread a false narrative about why Iskall was cancelled. And no wonder he did this on his second account. His main account, which sure is mostly focused on Roblox, also just does the same thing, but when it comes to super controversial topics like Dream and Minecraft and Misfits in general, he takes it to his second account where he can hide his false accusations a little bit better. Let's give you an example.
He advised me to not comply with Hermitcraft's demands.
So not only were these allegations false, but Hermitcraft basically threw Iskall under the bus when...
Very interesting. He just takes Iskall saying, the accusations were false and they threw me under the bus, and goes, guys, clearly the accusations were false and they threw him under the bus. Not even an allegedly. Not even like a slight notion that maybe Iskall's word is not 100% de facto written in gospel.
And at the end of the day, I'm human. I got emotions, feelings, and most importantly, a personal, private life.
It is clear how this has affected Iskall. Not only did it almost ruin his life, but would cause him to spiral multiple times.
Just taking his word for it once again. It is clear how the mining duck takes Iskall's words for 100% fact at 100% of the time because he is gawking on it super hard. He's bouncing on that thing, I swear to God. Saying things in a low, deep, impending voice like this and having Minecraft gameplay in the background does not give you the right to lie constantly. However, multiple YouTubers like SunnyV2 may beg to differ on that information. As you can see here in this image, someone who says they're a friend of the Hermits saw the mining duck rob them at gunpoint. This is proof that the Hermits were robbed at gunpoint by the mining duck, and Ducky ruined their lives. As you can see here, their friend also said that the emotional damage done to the Hermits was immense. This is proof that the Hermits suffered under the weight of Ducky's accusations and Ducky's threatening gunpoint actions. This is deeply concerning, and I really hope Ducky learns in the future not to rob people at gunpoint, as obviously this fan of the Hermits, who is direct friends with them and obviously has the full truth, said he did. The end. Do you see how that may be facetious? But no, the mining duck or Ducky proceeds to use it as if his words were written in the parchments of the Bible, as if they were 100% fact and if he was religious. It is deeply ironic that you will come onto this video and say, guys, they ruined Iskall's life with false accusations, and then continue to falsely or misleadingly accuse the Hermits themselves of ruining Iskall's life when he's doing fine. You don't know the full truth of the info. Iskall just said it. From the evidence that has come up since Iskall's video, from his employees, from the staff of his servers, from the staff of his modding community, from the Hermits themselves, it all points to Iskall being a liar. Iskall has provided not a screenshot, not a shred of evidence. Yet his word is enough for you to make a whole video saying Hermitcraft ruined Iskall85's life. Deeply ironic, and you've lost a lot of credit with any people who could have given you credit. That's why you have so many dislikes. Although I'm not one to talk about dislikes. Deeply ironic, and I genuinely believe this channel is one of the worst channels on YouTube. So do with that information what you will. Goodbye. Fuck's sake.
Said I'm trapped in this lifestyle. And it's hard to find a way out. Take another sip of you. Mixed feelings, I swear I would kill for you. Guess I can't help that I'm hooked to you.